Let's be honest, we've all been there, staring at a screen of code, feeling like our brains are about to melt. Well, that was basically my life last year. I embarked on a quest, or we can say a journey, to become a front-end developer. And let's just say it involved a lot of trial and error, questionable choices, and an unhealthy obsession for Stack Overflow and AI. I think AI played a lot of roles in my code. Maybe sometimes I'll copy the code and paste it into AI and have AI debug it for me. And let me just say that was not a good thing to do. So join me as I share my hilarious journey of my web development awakening. Last year I decided to dive headfirst into the world of front-end development. Let's just say my coding skills were about as sharp as a butter knife in a sword fight. I started with the Holy Trinity, of course, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. So my journey begins with HTML and CSS. Let me just tell you, HTML was a total breeze. It was like learning the building blocks of a web page. I dove right in, figuring out how to use the basic tags, HTML's headings, paragraphs, tables, divs, forms, etc. It was all about understanding the structure, how to arrange everything on the page. I wasn't necessarily learning them in any particular order, just kind of figuring it out as I went along, but it all clicked pretty quickly. CSS. Let's just say it felt like trying to tame a wild beast at times. Flexbox, grid layout, positioning, these concepts threw curveballs at me right and left. I spent countless hours staring at my screen, muttering words over and over again that the browser gods weren't too happy about. And don't even get me started on responsiveness. I would make a perfect layout on my laptop, only to see it crumble on my phone. It felt like solving a Rubik's Cube. You will make progress on one side, only to find out you messed up the other. Fixing one screen size and forgetting to resize the browser to see what broke next. Or trying to debug my CSS and it still looks fine on the browser. Then came JavaScript. It was like unlocking a new level of power, a whole new dimension to the web. Suddenly, the static pages I had been creating transformed. I could breathe life into them. At that point, it felt like I had reached the main aspect of the whole journey. Like a secret code has been unlocked, the true potential of the web. I was no longer a passive observer or someone who just simply arranges elements on a web page and makes them look all nice. I was now like a magician, wielding magic of JavaScript to weave interactive experiences to bend the digital world to my will. However, it wasn't always easy. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out my JavaScript code or why it wasn't working. Sometimes it would bring up error messages that were confusing or quite difficult to understand. It felt like me finding my way through a maze. I would stay up at night, keep late nights, stay in school because I was a student, trying to solve problems. While CSS problems were much easier to solve, and the whole idea of Ctrl Z, reloading it, and seeing if the web page still works with CSS problems was easier to do. But with JavaScript, it was a lot difficult to use the Ctrl Z method for it. So JavaScript errors in general were tricky, and the solutions even made it more difficult. Sometimes I'll copy and paste the solutions I find online, and it will not still work. We often look things up in the documentation, have to read documentation, spend a long time searching online. jQuery. jQuery made the whole process fast, allowing me to accomplish complex tasks with great speed. Imagine, I'll take for example now, I want a fade in, fade out animation. or updating a content without the entire page reloading. With the custom JavaScript, or the vanilla JavaScript rather, I would spend hours and hours trying to make this animation come to life. But with jQuery, I just need a single line of code, or I could just do the easy copy and paste stuff from the internet to my code, and boom, I have the animation on display. It just made it a lot easier, a lot faster, and it made my code concise and elegant. After spending a few days on jQuery, it was like the fun was over. And of course, at that point, I had to go back to my vanilla JavaScript, which I think works for me best, or works for me better than jQuery. However, for the time being, or while it lasted, it was fun while jQuery lasted, and it was an invaluable tool that accelerated my learning and empowered me to bring web development ideas to life more quickly and efficiently, especially when it comes to animations. I really enjoyed jQuery. And then came React. My brain literally exploded, or I might even say my brain melted. It was like stepping into a whole new dimension of web development. Suddenly, I was confronted with a lot of new vocabularies like components, props, states. Learning all these things were quite intimidating. They scared me, but gradually I began to make sense of it. At first, it was overwhelming. The learning curve was steep, and I found myself lost in a sea of unfamiliar syntax. And while React can be quite complex, I began to put the pieces together, and I started to understand the core principles of building user interfaces. Some of the projects I built were quite impressive. I was quite impressed about the project I built. Like even the shopping cart that I initially built on vanilla JavaScript, I also I built it again with React, and it made the whole process more easy. I can't really say easy, but just more friendly. Kind of, I can't find the word for it, but friendly could be the word for it. It was an enjoyable experience, and I loved everything about React. And I love the process of React because it made building user interfaces easy, like making it step by step, like constructing a complex machine where you design or place each component carefully to set up for a larger machine. And everything that you used in building this complex machine was working in harmony with others to make the whole design work. Finally, I ventured into the world of APIs, and it felt like truly stepping into the realm of real world applications. I was no longer confined to static pages or limited to the data I could only add code. I was building real time applications that could connect to the internet and fetching data from external sources like weather information, news articles, social media feeds opened a whole world of possibilities. I learned to make requests, handle responses, and integrate this external data seamlessly into my applications. It was exciting to see my applications come to life, displaying dynamic content, interacting with users in real time, and providing a more engaging and personalized experience. However, the journey wasn't always as smooth. For example, waiting for API response could sometimes feel frustrating, or is it the loading time, or when it's not responding at all. I would find myself muttering impatiently and refreshing the page repeatedly, to eager to see the fruit of my labor. And sometimes these APIs are not free. Not every one of it is free. So with my limited budget, I could not afford to integrate some APIs. But despite these occasions or these moments of frustrations, working with API was incredibly rewarding. It was an incredibly rewarding experience. It broadened my knowledge and understanding of how web applications truly functions, and it empowered me to build more sophisticated and interconnected applications. Looking back at my whole web development journey, It was a ride of emotions. There were countless moments of frustrations where I felt defeated by the amount of bugs that were presented on my web page. Times where I had given up or left the project. And even honestly, I have some projects that I have left that I've not gone back to. But I just kept pushing. I just kept pushing, trying to finish everything, trying to finish every milestone I get. Sometimes my confidence will just shatter and I'll feel like I can't do this anymore. But I just have to keep going. But amidst all this frustration, there were moments of joy. The feeling of finally conquering the stubborn bugs, or when my code actually comes to life, especially in React. In React, a single mistake could cost your whole web page, or it could cause problem for the whole web page. It was a challenging year with a lot of setbacks and learning curves, but it was a rewarding experience. And I don't know if I can say this because I've just spent a year doing web development. But for those starting out, remember that it's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed. Web development is a vast and evolving field. So celebrate every small victory, no matter how insignificant it may seem, and do not hesitate to ask for help. The web development community is incredibly supportive, especially on Twitter, and there are countless of resources and forums available to assist you. Most importantly, have fun. Build amazing things on the web. This can be a very rewarding experience. Let creativity flow. Experiment with new technologies. You can even try other technologies like Vue. I think other technologies. I can't quite remember some of the technologies right now, but you can try all these technologies and keep growing, keep learning, keep growing. The journey may be challenging, but the reward is worth it.